Hello, everybody. Welcome back to What of the World Restarted. Today we are on episode 24. And I know it's been a long time since we last done one of these videos. I'm sorry. I'm quite busy at the moment. A lot of things happening. But we're going straight back into it. Okay, this is our map from the last episode. And yeah, a lot of things happens, as you can see. It's quite different. But we're going straight into it today. No explanation. Let's do this. So, as you can see, the English Empire is pretty big. And when an empire gets big, come on, finish it. Anyway, doesn't matter. It ends up breaking. So that's what we're going to be doing. As, yeah, a revolution is launched in the South American colony. This revolution starts small with simply a bunch of local groups protesting in this little area by refusing to pay taxes. But then it starts escalating rapidly, and before long, the entire southeastern coast of their colony is under rebellion control, with it mainly centered around this city here. The Falklands have been captured by local rebellions, as well as South Georgia. I don't know what island that is, and the Sandwich Islands. It spreads to Tierra del Fuego, and before long, the entire South Patagonia region has sort of revolted away from England, and they spearhead along the coast. So we get something like this. Now they are beginning to collapse. This front line is unable to hold, of course, because they're trapped. And now they have one solid front pushing upwards. And the colony's like, England, where are your troops? England's like, I don't know. And before long, the capital of the southern region has fallen, and this group starts to accelerate rapidly. I forgot to include like Easter Island and stuff. But yeah, they're probably involved too. And before long, this entire group has captured control of the southern portion of South America, British South America. Looking something like that. Pretty good, I'd say so myself. And England's like, okay, we can't let this happen. And of course, they are still the world's most powerful country, so they are going to fight back a little bit. As we see here, English forces recapture the city and start a counterattack over here. They also recapture the city, strategic city on the coast here, and start to move most of their forces down here. However, the rebels launch a massive counteroffensive, and they recapture the city here and encircle a lot of English forces, which allows them to push up here into Uruguay and gain this under control. And now they let this region break away, and also fine on the same side, but they just want to be their own country. Fair enough. They're like, yeah, this is enough land. And then they join in too, and they start pushing upwards. And this is the main capital of this South American region. They move along here, right here, capturing most of the coastline. And getting closer and closer to the city. And now England's like, what's happening? I don't like this. Why are we collapsing? So their allies are going to get involved and trying to help. But once news of the rebellion spreads across all the countries in their alliance, it's going to start to break apart. As we see a coalition in Europe, basically like to end. Imagine what America and Russia say whenever they try and enter a conflict. Special military operation, all that crap. We know it's not. But imagine that. But basically in this case, they're saying like, we're joining the war to protect the colonies and the brutality against the brutal forces and regimes and whatever of England, France, and that. And they're like, this is a load of crap because they're doing the exact same thing in their colonies. But yeah, they're going to get a lot of support for this. And a European coalition is going to unite together to fight them. Poland, the Arab country, um, Russia, and the Greeks are all going to join, and this Balkan country here are going to join in to fight. So World War Two, no, yeah, this is World War One, and this is about 1890 now. So this is roughly around a similar time to when it would happen in real life. Anyway, this is big news, as this means they have to fight on the European front as well. So the Poles immediately start to advance here, starting to advance into the southern Netherlands. They have great success in the initial stages of the war, being able to capture this major city along here and move into the south and capture these three as well. And it's pretty clear what their goals are from the beginning, as they amass more and more forces and are actually able to cut the Netherlands in half. And from here, it's pretty swift as the south falls and the north is not able to hold out for long. So yes, the Poles have just done it, and England's like, okay, this is not good. However, their forces were here. Their forces were here, so they're able to move back in and re-liberate some land, but not the capital. Notice that. So the Poles now hold a defensive front here, and they start an offensive into northern Italy, moving into these regions here. And obviously they are stopped by the Alps, so they move down into the regions that aren't in the Alps. And they have pretty good success so far. We also have the Balkan country marking their entrance into the war, well, by capturing these two major cities in the northeast, almost equivalent of Venice nowadays. And Greece is preparing their navy for multiple special military operations, or however much you can call it special military operation for the 1890s. But yeah, number one, land in North Africa, back in their ex-colony, which they used to have a few hundred years ago, and they want it back. And they do just that, as they're able to capture all of this land here from Italy. And they also start another invasion into this region down here. And yeah, it's not looking too good for Italy. However, they do manage to pull off a counter attack and push the Greeks back to this peninsula here, and push this Balkan country back to this one major city. Also pushing back the Poles, moving back to these, and actually having quite a lot of success up here. So far this is how the war is going in Europe. Let's have a look at it colonially. Well, there's not really much that's going on here, but of course the Poles have a colony down here, and they have a lot of forces here. And they are going to have the colony send in some forces, special forces, into this region, capturing a few major cities straight off the bat, and a few more over here in Mozambique, or modern day equivalent Mozambique, just moving into the more populated areas for now. So they slow down here, and they now switch over to the Angolan coast, having quite a lot of success so far. Yeah, this is our world map, quite interesting. Anyway, now England and Italy are going to have a full-on civil war here, as they are unable to keep control of everything. This begins over here in North America, where we see a group popping up here in Canada, trying to gain their independence, and they do pretty well, gaining control of the western side. Is that Lake Superior? I'm not great with I know what they are all called, but I don't know which one's which. I think this is Lake Ontario. This is Lake Michigan. This is Lake Superior. Lake. I don't know. One of them's Lake Erie. I don't know what the other one is. But yeah, they are able to capture all this land here and move into the tip region of northern Michigan. And before long, they basically become Ontario as they now move down into this area here. And they're able to capture quite a lot of land as the English are unable to respond here. We have another group popping up here in, funny enough, in Greenland, because Greenland's habitable, right? And they're going to have a lot of success, and the English weren't focused on protecting their colonies, as we can see, as they completely lose all of Greenland. Greenland continues to advance, now moving into this Northern Ireland, not Northern Ireland, up here. I think it's called Ellesmere. And yeah, they do capture it. And they also capture Baffin Island, I think it's called. Yeah, pretty good for them. These are pretty big islands. So nice. The Greenlandic Empire has been formed. Iceland just does its own thing. We have the United States beginning a revolution as well here. Sorry about that noise. But yeah, they've begun their very own revolution, moving into Italian lands over here. They now have all this land in Italy under their control, and a similar amount here. But yeah, basically we're just going straight into it and see the ultimate collapse of both these empires, as they were just quite big, and after a lot of economic instability, with a few things going on, such as trade and a lot of failed investments and stuff. Both of the countries were going quite weak economically, and they knew they were gonna have to give up some colonies, but they weren't expecting this much of an anti-colonial sentiment. More so when we also see the Indonesian country joining in the war on surprise to try and take over the British colony, and well, they do just that as they take over the entire thing. Ignore that noise, please. Thank you very much. Lovely. Anyway, now they have all of this land under their control. We also see a group popping up over here in Central America. Right here in Venezuela? Yeah, that's it. Why does that look weird? Okay, it doesn't matter. Well, yeah, this group over here in Venezuela is going to expand quite a lot, and is soon going to be able to take over the whole Maracaibo Bay region. As seen here. And yeah, they're going to start moving closer and closer to the capital of Italian South America. And they actually begin a siege of the city very quickly. We have a group popping up over here in Ecuador. And we also have another group popping up here in Central America. One over here in Panama and Western Colombia, who actually takes over the capital. And yeah, basically, Italy and the UK are cooked. They're not going to win this war. They're not going to get out of it alive. That's what we're going with here. And guess what happens? You thought it was just going to be a collapse of the Italian team. No, no, that's not the case. As what happens here, quite important. Now, we're going to imagine a Suez Canal of some sort has been built. And even though the Arabs joined the Arab Empire, or whatever, the Arabic Empire, or Middle Eastern Empire, as well as some of their other regional partners and stuff, said they would join in to fight against colonialism. However, what they didn't say is that they would also fight against you because you're a colonial empire. So now all of a sudden, troops from the the Middle Eastern Empire and all these guys send their troops in to here and they start funding anti-proxy groups, closing down trade routes, etc. Yes. So now they've closed the Suez Canal, the Bab el Mandeb. I don't know the significance of the Strait of Hormuz at this point in time. And yeah, they've done a lot of other stuff. The Indonesians have also closed the Strait of Malacca, as well as all the other ways they could get through here. And yeah, this is really bad for European trade. And now, basically, they've joined the war against each other. So now this is properly World War One. As now we see troops from the Middle Eastern Empire begin to march full force into the Italian Empire. And they're able to gain a lot of land really fast. Gaining all of this land relatively quickly. Now moving towards the borders of the Nigerian country. They now start to move through Central Africa, about to reach another line of population, and they capture all of these cities. So we get something like this. We also see the yeah. Oh, that's too similar, isn't it? Okay. The Middle Eastern country. And yeah, they start to enter into Greek occupied territories over here and do very well, managing to capture all of it. So yes, we have a new global axis seeming to form here. The Italians have all but lost their control over this land, and now the Middle Eastern Empire reaches all the way to the major important city of, we're going to call it Constantinople because it's under Greek control, but you get what I mean. They're able to capture all of this land. It's pretty big. And yes, we also see the unification. I know it's quite random, but the unification of the two Russias. This just happens out of nowhere, but if you're watching the situation closely, then you might see where this might be going. But yes, no, that looks the same, doesn't it? Yeah. The two Russias have officially united. Awesome. And their capitals will be placed in a neutral location for fairness. Of course. They're going to go with the one right here. But yes, if you didn't know what was going to happen, and you weren't paying attention to the fact that they border quite a lot of countries, the Russians have just joined the alliance with the Middle Eastern country, and they're going to split up some countries together. First of all, I don't know really what you did wrong, Caucasia, but you don't need to exist any longer, do you? So yes, you are going to get destroyed. Wait. yeah, Russian forces move into the north and now quickly capture the two cities here. They reach the Caucasus Mountains and they slow down their advance. And the Middle Easterns take the rest. Nice, simple. And the Russians are not done as they now enter their forces into the Polish Empire. Too good to be true, Poland, eh? Their forces sweep along the front line and now approach the capital city of Poland, and they walk in and capture it. The Poles are really unable to make a response here. Before long, the Russians have captured all of this land from Poland, as well as this major city down here, which allows them to move further upwards. Now, looking at this, the Polish are basically they're just dead. There's no nicer way of putting it. They're not lasting very much longer, and the Russians now start an advance into northern Greece, and yeah, I'm sorry. They capture Constantinople, and the Greeks know that they're gonna lose, so they surrender and they officially leave the war, and so do the Balkan country. So does the Balkan country. The Poles are like, well, what's the point anymore? So, yep, they continue to get folded, and before long, they've lost half of their country. And the English use this as a opportunity, and they quickly re-liberate all of the Netherlands, which allows them now to move into Western Poland here. And Denmark. And before long, their lines meet together with the Russians. And I wonder what's going to happen. What would happen, wouldn't it? Well, the Italians also take this opportunity to push back. And yes, the Russians are not going to waste any time. And they begin moving into the Western occupied territories. However, they do realize they're probably going to need to slow down soon. So once they reach this river, which I think starts near Hamburg, yet they're going to just hold a defensive front and build some supply lines. But yeah, they've basically won the war at this point. And yeah, the West knows this. Well, the Western Alliance knows this. As now California breaks away. Yeah, California breaks away from them. Found a part of Mexico, becomes its own thing. And the UK's colony simply just stops fighting. So yeah, let's have a look at the peace treaty as this war comes to an end in 1899. So 9 years of fighting. Wow. No, it started in 1892, we're going to say. And it ends in 1897. Yeah. World War I has officially ended. And yeah, let's have a look at a peace treaty. Hello everybody, welcome back. And oh my word, this is very different. When I was making this, I did not anticipate it would look completely different. But basically, if you want to know what happened, the colonial empires of Europe have been completely eradicated, and there's little to no colonies anymore. The only colonies may be Hawaii, Maldives, but nobody really cares about them that much, though, really. Anyway, as you can tell, we're going to start with England, who began this crisis of sorts. They underwent the biggest change, as of course they're now just limited to their isles. Excuse me. And nothing else. Yeah, not great for England. They're in economic downturn now, but they have to focus on themselves. The war has ended. Of course, we've got France right here. They haven't got the Channel Islands. They've still been kept to England. Actually, you know what? Scrap that. We're going to give it to England. Yeah, they'll give it to France. We've got a mini nation here, which I'm going to just call Luxembourg. The Dutch have been significantly reduced in size. We've got a new nation here, which actually doesn't have a capital. So let's sort that out. Go with Hamburg. Yep, of course. And yeah, well, the Russians expanded quite a lot, to say the least. As yeah, they are now one of the biggest countries in the world and most powerful. Yeah. Anyway, it doesn't matter about that. They expanded into the eastern half of Poland completely, and the northern Greece and a little bit of border territories from here. They also split up Caucasia with the Middle Eastern country. So yeah, they are huge now, and there's only one way left for them to go, and that is east. But maybe not this episode. Anyway, nothing happened in Northern Europe. These three countries just did nothing. They just watched from the sidelines. Really. Um, Greece is no longer one country. It's quite sad. One of our oldest countries, I think one of the day one countries, has now been eradicated. So the original countries with the blue and red country, of course, but red team hasn't come back yet. Anyway, the Greeks were in the top 5 earliest, at least. I know. But yeah, there is no longer just one Greece. Basically, if you could give them their official names, it's Greece, or no, yeah, Greece, North Greece, and then Thrace. Or you could just say East Greece, South Greece, North Greece. But this would probably just be Greece, Macedonia, or Albania, and Thrace. But yeah, I like the borders of this country. It's really nice, actually. Then we've got Turkey, who also took the Aegean Islands and Crete from Greece. The Middle Eastern country expanded greatly into Africa. They used to look something like this before. So they annexed all of this land. And Cyprus, you can't forget about little old Cyprus. Got they helped to form a lot of these nations in Africa, including Libya, this country here. This one looks kind of like Lebanon. These two over here. Nigeria expanded quite a lot in some areas. This Gabon, I think. This one here, it's different color because it almost looks like yellow. South Africa, this one, pink team. I don't know what color that is. Here, Uganda, which doesn't have a capital as well. We're gonna sort that out. Yeah. Kenya, all these guys. Seychelles are now their own country with all this land. Madagascar is this, and the Comoros belongs to them. Lovely. The Papua New Guinea colony. Sorry, I forgot a lot of this stuff. I don't know how I didn't. Oh, I did, but I did, so whatever. Yeah, Papua New Guinea colony now belongs to Indonesia. That's it for Africa. The Algerian country here lost all of Iberia, and they were also forced to give up. And Italy was forced to give up. I don't know who owned this. Oh yeah, England owned all of this land before. They were forced to give up everything in mainland Europe. So now there's a new Iberian country here with this, and they also own Madeira, a new Azores country here. France, of course, Italy had to give up loads of land and everything. Yep, that's it for Europe. Iceland formed as well. We've got Greenland here, and they also own Ellesmere. I don't know what these ones are called, and Baffin Island. So yeah, they expanded into this part here. Yeah. What is that? Okay. No thanks. We've got Quebec with their capital city here. New England, capital city, New York, of course. Because it's just, I wanted to put it there. Ontario's got the capital city right there. This little bay, the water. Oh, how many countries did I forget? Jeez. America's got their capital right here. Yeah, you know what? This is quite annoying, yeah. But we'll do it on camera anyway. Why not? So yeah, we got this East America, we're gonna call it, got the capital in the middle here. West America, the original America, got their capital in here. The Midwestern country, Alaska, California, Mexico, who's gonna have their capital city here. Central American country, who's gonna go with it with their capital in here. Colombia, got Venezuela in here. We got the Eastern Antilles country. Just got all this land in light blue. Country right here. The Greater Florida country. We got the Jamaican country. Got this Brazilian country here. This one as well. We've got Bolivia, Paraguay, Uruguay, this country, Peru. Oh, I don't know what this one is actually. I'm just gonna call it like the yellow team. Or like, yeah, yellow team. Peru, Ecuador, Amazon, the Amazon country, Bolivia, Paraguay, Uruguay, and then Patagonia. Yeah. Well, this is like Argentina. Doesn't matter. That's it. That's South America finished. And yeah, the world is a completely different place now. Yeah. Cool. Anyway, the last few events of this episode were all going to roughly happen at the same time. And this is going to be with even more Russian expansion. They are going to kick off a new winter war with Finland. Because they're not done yet, are they? So now their forces are going to swiftly move into southern Finnish territory. Finland wasn't expecting this, and they thought Russia was done, but no, they're not. And they quickly capture St. Petersburg. They now start to move up north. However, Finnish fortifications are pretty strong, but aren't strong enough to hold back all of Russia's advances. However, once Russia's advance starts to slow down, they both make a deal. Where, where, that's not going to leave, is it? Yeah. Where Russia annexes all of this land from Finland, but they're not done yet because they didn't get everything they wanted. So, Russia is going to finish off their expansion into this country here. And I'm sorry, they're not going to get as lucky as Finland because it's Finland. Finland's immortal. They're going to move all of the troops through here, send in a few groups from the north to the south. Whoa. Come on, mouse. Okay. And, yep. Before you know it, the capital's gone. And now it's just Russian troops just sweeping across the steppes. And, yeah, Russia annexes the whole country. Yeah. Awesome. Peace treaty here. Lovely. Now Russia has satisfied itself for now. They don't need any more land, but they are huge. They're basically like what the Soviet Union would have wanted to do, and almost did. So yeah, very nice. Yes, lovely jubbly. Nothing more over here. And yeah, the last event of this episode is going to be a Australian war. Well, two, actually. At the same time, we're only going down to two Australian countries. The Indonesian country is like, I want you. And the South Australian country is doing the same thing to this one over here. So how about they both go on a nice little shopping spree together. The South Australian country moves first, and they wipe out this country over here pretty quickly. And then together with Indonesia, they split North Australia. Indonesia gets the most of it, however, South Australia still gets quite a lot. This is a new strategic partnership. So they both split it together. Yes, that is going to do it for today's episode. If you enjoyed, Make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you. Whoa. Thank you very much. Let's just take a look at this very awesome map one last time. Wow, that's pretty cool. Anyway, if you enjoyed, thank you. Goodbye.